I the a-hole for kicking my mother-in-law's guest out of my wedding? Long story short, I, male 31, have been with my now wife for 3 years in total, and we got married days ago. I love my in-laws. However, some of them clearly don't like me for some reason. My mother-in-law tends to be mean and controlling, although she never say anything bad to me directly. Her behavior is the issue. Mother-in-law and most of the family are in close relationship with my wife's ex-husband. He was out of the country for a year or so, but I noticed he was being invited to family events, /birthdays, /family trips. Me and my wife just decided to not go because of how awkward it was. It's awful. I haven't bonded well with my nieces and nephews as they talk about the ex instead of me. I don't hang out with wife's brothers nor do any family stuff with them because the ex has taken over. He always either ignores me or insults me to my face, says he's times 10 better financially than me. I talked to my mother-in-law about this and she firmly shut me down, saying it's her house and it's her life. She invites whoever she wants. Period. Before the wedding, I discovered my mother-in-law sent a secret invitation to her former son-in-law. I told her no, but she argued about it. My wife and I put our foot down, and that's when mother-in-law stepped back. At our wedding, I saw her, father-in-law, coming with her former son-in-law. I was in shock, so I pulled them aside and asked why they brought him, that he needed to leave because I didn't want him in my wedding. Mother-in-law argued that it's her guest. Family don't need invitation. I reminded her it's my wedding, then I asked the guy to leave. They jumped to defend him, but I insisted, telling them they can leave as well. Mother-in-law called me insecure, controlling jerk, and her daughter should call off the wedding right then. When my wife agreed with me, they screamed at her talking about me mistreating her. My parents weren't pleased by that. My mother-in-law left and the others followed. We're not speaking right now, and they have been getting berated by the family for kicking out their guests out of spite and disrespect towards the family, and how that affected their relationship with their former son-in-law. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your in-laws are out of line, but I'm very glad your wife has your back. Sounds like you will be hanging out with your side of the family more and the ex can have the selfish side. Out of line? They're out of their minds. Right, and the ex too. That is the kind of stuff that happens in movies. I have believed they expected the ex to proclaim his love during the wedding and the bride to run off with him and leave Opie at the altar. Nope, not so much. My mother-in-law didn't like me. She and my sister-in-law started to invite my husband's ex-wife to family functions. He told them in no uncertain terms he did not want ex-wife there. They still continued to invite her, so we stopped going to family functions. Not the a-hole. He wasn't just their guest, but your wife's ex-husband. That's extremely inappropriate, no matter how you cut it. Was he planning on objecting to the wedding to declare his love for her, or was it just to ruin the event for the both of you by him being there? Either way, it was meant to intentionally hurt you. Obviously, they're hoping his constant presence with their support will bring their daughter around. But now it looks like they could lose their daughter over this. Cut out anyone who takes their side after knowing the facts. Their guest. Well, you're all my guests. So, GTFO. Hahaha. Seriously, who attends their ex's wedding without permission? Not the a-hole. First, your wedding, your choice. Second, it's highly inappropriate for an ex to attend their former partner's wedding without being invited by their former partner. Third, they were told that he was not welcome. They have no right to surprise you with this. And what about your very clear, very expected reaction? I'm sorry they like the ex so much. Unfortunately, I doubt that will change. Best accept it now. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my child-free sister/brother-in-law to my child-friendly wedding? My 27 female sister is the third born out of 4 siblings, with me being the youngest, and we have 2 older brothers. Both our brothers have kids, and I have 2 kids of my own. And whenever our sister finds out there's a baby on the way, she acts like it's the worst thing in the world. She doubled down on this with me because I'm a woman. Once the kids were born, she wouldn't let them call her auntie, which, okay. Said she'd never willingly babysit, which no one ever asked her to do. Then she started making comments which she presented as jokes, like calling the kids leeches and bastards. She won't interact with any of her, 7 total, nieces and nephews. She attends events with them there, but ignores them the whole time except for when she complains that she came out to talk to adults, not deal with little kids. Her husband is the same. I'm getting married. I want my kids there, as well as my nieces/nephews and a handful of other kids from both families. I also don't want my sister moaning about being surrounded by kids, as they probably make up about 1/4 to 1/3 of the guest list. So my sister isn't invited. However, I figured I had to have a conversation with my sister and brother-in-law to tell them what I'm planning, so they aren't blindsided when the invites go out in a few weeks. Sister is treating this as an affront. She is highly offended that I won't be inviting her, and that she was being excluded over her lifestyle. I said it's not the lifestyle, it's the attitude. She's saying I've not even given her a chance, and that as I was her bridesmaid, she should at least get an invite, and has said I'm being a huge a-hole for excluding her from my wedding over this. I said that if she wasn't such an a-hole to the kids, then I wouldn't need to exclude her in the first place. Dad agrees that I should invite who I want, but Mom sides with my sister, saying it's unfair I'm excluding her, and that she should be invited. Plus, it's not like she'll do anything, and the worst thing she could possibly do, given her history, is tell another adult that she isn't a fan of all the kids there. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. Probably not going to be a popular take. Yes, you can invite anyone you want to your wedding, so you have a right to not invite your sister. Yes, your sister has been the a-hole around your family, but that's not what you're asking. You're asking if you are the a-hole by not inviting your sister to your wedding. And the answer for me is yes. Look, she clearly has major issues around children and has been the a-hole toward you and your families, for sure. But to me, it seems you're not inviting her more out of revenge, to hurt her back for her hurtful comments. As your mother says, what exactly is the worst thing that can happen? Your sister witches to other guests? What I think you should have done. Pulled her aside and told her that while she's entitled to her personal opinions about children, you're going to have to insist she not express any of that during your own wedding. Ask her if she can do that. If she says yes, great. If she makes a fuss, say you insist and those are the conditions. Alert the wedding planner beforehand to be on the lookout for this, so that the wedding planner can deal with your sister if necessary. Then enjoy the wedding. Unless you're leaving something out, like she never listens and always creates scenes, I think it's wrong to preemptively assume she won't be able to control herself and not invite your own sister to your wedding when you were her bridesmaid. Wow. Usually, this subreddit assumes that will happen and calls anything about not inviting anyone to a wedding, not the a-hole. Funny how this time around they flock to defend. Gentle, everyone sucks here. I'm landing with your mom. It's not like the two of you have a bad relationship by the sounds of it. You were her bridesmaid after all. So I feel the reason for denying someone an invitation like this should be a bit stronger than they'll probably make a comment about a kid or two. It doesn't sound like you actually tried to sit them down about their behavior either during any of this. Maybe give them a small prep talk on how this behavior is a real bummer, and you won't have it at your wedding. Don't get me wrong, you have every right to invite anyone you want to your wedding. But I do feel the majority of people would agree that this is a pretty shitty reason to exclude your sister. Should I invite someone who frequently insults my kids, refuses to acknowledge them as family, and calls them leeches and insulted me when I was pregnant to my wedding? Fixed the title, not a-hole. Seriously, like why the surprised Pikachu face about not being invited/being asked to be in the wedding party? The whole "you were in my bridal party" sounds like expected reciprocation to me. She either doesn't show up to a child-friendly events or complains to anyone who will listen. Why does Opie need to give her the chance to turn her down? She's saving herself stress and hurt feelings about her own wedding. I know if I'm planning a party, I'm not inviting people that are going to be horrible to my kids for just existing. Why would this be different? Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for quitting to be in my sister's bridal party? I love my sister to pieces, but she's turning out to be a real bridezilla. She's at her wedding right at the end of our semesters, and when my mom and I tried to tell her that it wasn't the best idea, she said she could handle doing everything for the wedding and school. Well, she can't. She's been asking me to do tons of things to help her, which I'm okay with, but I think she forgets I also have school, a newborn, and work. Anyways, she asked me to choreograph part of her surprise dance at her wedding, and I agreed. But then my projects, essays, and tests have gotten in the way. I do have some of it done, more than half, but I'm busy. We had a small rehearsal today. All of us wore masks, and most of us are vaccinated. And when it got to my part of the dance, I apologetically told her I didn't have the whole song yet. She went off on me in front of the bridal party about how the wedding is coming up soon, and I had one job and how I could do this to her. It might have been how exhausted I am, but I threw in her face that I found her caterer, did her invites, made her guest book, found her bridesmaids' dresses, I'm doing hair and makeup for everyone the day off, and so many other things. She played a victim, saying she was so stressed and I wasn't being helpful with my attitude, and I told her it was her fault for setting the date so soon. I ended the fight telling her I would finish the choreography and still do her hair and makeup. But I was done with the bridal party because I have a life to take care of, and I'm done with her bridezilla attitude. My parents and husband agree with me, but the rest of the bridal party told me I was an a-hole and I should understand how stressful a wedding is. I get that. I did everything for my own wedding, but I gave myself enough time so I wouldn't be a pain in the ass for everyone. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You are doing your best. She's out of line. She's making it harder on herself. Weddings are special, but idealizing the process is just not healthy in my opinion. Dance isn't perfectly choreographed. Who cares? Becomes a funny story. No bloody dance is fine. Why the hell is there even a choreographed dance? No one is going to care if it's there or not. Sure, that sort of thing can be fun, / nice when it's reflective of the couple, but she isn't even the one choreographing it. How can the bride expect so much of everyone? Not the a-hole. She doesn't get to unload on you because she set her expectations unreasonably. The rest of the bridal party just doesn't want to deal with her, and as with you gone, they get to be the cannon fodder. Exactly. Her parents and her husband know the kind of stress her sister was inflicting on her, but the bridal party? They probably want a free ride without having to lift a single finger for the wedding. If Opie does hair and makeup, then they don't have to worry about it because I bet Opie's doing it for free. Not the a-hole. I get so tired of this BS about how stressful a wedding is. A wedding is only extremely stressful if you make it that way by building it up in your head into this be-all and all event that has to be picture perfect and flawless, or else you'll just die. I am not sure why people do that to themselves, or why others go along with that nonsense, but I am sure you are not obligated to put up with your sister's verbal abuse and thoughtless selfish demands on your time. You are kind to still be willing to do the choreography and her hair and makeup, because she obviously doesn't appreciate your time and talents. The rest of the bridal party can pick up the slack themselves, instead of trying to avoid that by shaming you into doing more than you have the time or desire to do. Now for the last story. Would I be the a-hole if I told my parents that unless they contribute to the wedding, they are uninvited? I always had a bad relationship with my parents. They were never good at nurturing. They were disinterested in us unless they could get something through us. I'm getting married in May to the love of my life. When we started planning for the wedding, my parents made it clear that they didn't have the money nor the intention to pay for the wedding in any way. My fiancé and his parents are paying for about 80% of it, which is the religious ceremony, the venue, with table decorations and all, the food and the music, and I'm putting the last 20%, which is gonna be transportation with buses from the nearest big city to the venue, the photographer, the party favors, and my wedding dress / shoes / hair / makeup. I don't have a lot of money either. I just got back to work after a year being unemployed because of COVID. I don't have any money to waste. I'm too proud to go to my in-laws for help as they already pay for more than their share of the wedding. They shouldn't shoulder my part as well. Fortunately, I found a great charity that helps brides like me that can't put thousands of dollars into one dress. They rent wedding dresses that are donated to them for very cheap. I'll only have to pay for the adjustments. A friend of mine agreed to do my hair and makeup as a wedding present. That saves me a lot of money, and it's a huge relief for me. On Friday, my sister called me to tell me that my parents have bought clothes for my wedding, and that they have been bragging and showing it off to her. She told me it's really expensive, over-the-top clothes with shoes and jewelry to go with it, and that they said that overall, it had cost them close to $2,000. That made me angry, because they really didn't need to spend that much money on it. And if they had that money to spare, I could have used it for the wedding. And maybe I'm vain, but it bothers me that my parents are going to be better dressed than me on my wedding. On a deeper level, since they obviously do have the extra money, it hurts me that they didn't want to help with the wedding. I feel rejected and neglected, like I've always been with them. I decided that I don't want to put up with that anymore. I want them to participate financially to the wedding, even if it's just a small amount. My budget for party favors is $300, and I want them to pay for that. And if they say they can't, then I don't want them to come to my wedding. They were never really family anyway. My family are my siblings and my friends, and my soon-to-be husband. I would like to have them there, but under my terms, not theirs. I don't need them, and it might be petty, but if they refuse to pay, I will feel vindicated because they would have wasted all this money in outfits they aren't going to wear, because they won't have the occasion. So, would I be the a-hole? You're the a-hole. It's your right to not invite your parents or anyone to your wedding. It's not your right to demand your parents or anyone to financially contribute to a wedding that you're choosing to have. Figure out whether you want your parents there at all, but leave the paying for your wedding out of it. You put it much better than I would have. It sounds from the post like OP has a very complicated, to put it mildly, relationship with their parents. It's fine to go low or no contact, but it's not okay to make the wedding invitation contingent on a financial contribution. Either invite them or don't. Especially since the pot calling the kettle black. Having their affection contingent on what they can gain is exactly what she said she hated about her parents. I understand she's stressed about money and hurt by her parents' behavior and excuses, but she needs to deal with her feelings without being spoiled. You're the a-hole. If you can't afford an expensive wedding, don't have one. Stop relying on other people to pay for the lifestyle you can't afford. My in-laws want the expensive wedding. He is their only child, which is why they are paying for most of it. I have budgeted the $300 and I can come up with them on my own. I want this as a gesture that they care enough about me to contribute, or if they don't care, then they don't come. You're the a-hole. It truly doesn't matter what the details are. Your parents don't automatically owe it to you to pay for your wedding because they bought new outfits to wear. If you can't afford the wedding you want, without assuming everyone in your family owes you, then you downsize or wait and save, like the vast majority of people. Grow up already and stop acting like the wedding is a debt owed to you.
Mighty a-hole for telling my mom I can't wait to leave her without any of her kids, since she can't stop using me as a pawn. My mom cheated on her ex-husband, which made him leave her. I was born from the affair, and her ex-husband wanted nothing to do with me, which I totally understand. I do. They had 4 kids together, who were 7 to 14 when I, 17 female, was born. My mom made me think he was my dad for years, and tried to get him to take care of me. She got even pushier because their kids rejected me. They rejected her too, but me even more and worse than they rejected her really. She'd try to force her ex and his family, like his parents and siblings, to interact with me. That would happen at their kids' sport games and other events. She dragged me along, tried to sit with them and lead conversations. All it did was make me feel like crap, because he couldn't hide his disgust for me, and his family didn't hide theirs either. Another issue is my name. She gave me an Italian first name to go with our Italian last name, which is her ex's last name. 2 of their other kids have Italian names he chose, and the other 2 have non-Italian names chosen by my mom. She has admitted she wanted to try and shame him into taking care of me. She's also used my name to try and make it believable to others that he is my real dad. She would tell people he abandoned me because I was so young and he wanted to be done with her faster. When her other kids stopped talking to her, she'd take me to her ex's house and argue with him for letting me get left behind. Sometimes when she did this, the police were called. Other times, he and her kids would stand there arguing, and over I was called the affair kid. It got to me. I cried at times. And even then, my mom would just keep standing there and arguing. My mom eventually gave up, but she still tells people I'm his child. She says I have his name and that my first name is one he chose from his culture and family. It bothers me so much that she won't let it go. I don't have any extended family in my life. I don't know my mom's family and have never been able to find my dad online, if the name she gave me is even correct. She mopes about her kids not talking to her and how she's a grandma who doesn't know her grandkids. She says most of her kids have left her and complains about it. She told me we should be closer, but she says I act like I don't like her. I asked her how she could be surprised and told her I can't wait to leave her like all her other kids did. I said she doesn't deserve to have me stick around when she uses me as a pawn. She got really mad and yelled at me, saying she's all I have, which is true. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, and looking forward to all the amazing adventures ahead of you as you get therapy and build your chosen family as you move forward in life. Her mom's actions have caused immense pain for everyone involved, especially her. Her choices have put OP in a terrible position, and her frustration is completely justified. She is not responsible for fixing her mom's mistakes or staying in a toxic environment. Not the a-hole, and you're almost 18. Maybe you should choose your own new name, first and last. Have it legally changed as soon as you can. I like that idea a lot, maybe even a new last name. If you get it done as close to 18 as possible, then you'll have a lot less paperwork to fill out or places to notify about your name change. If you're struggling with so many options, you can always start with your initials and see if anything fits as a starting point. Thanks for the advice. I'll do my best to make that happen ASAP. Not the a-hole. She's only all you have because she's withheld an entire side of your family from you. Why don't you try one of those ancestry DNA tests and see if you come up with any matches? She chose not to involve your father, but that doesn't mean he or his family wouldn't want the opportunity if given it now. Do your half-siblings know you didn't want your mom being so pushy? They don't care. They just straight up hate me and wish I was dead. When I'm a little older, I do want to look. Just to see, with zero expectations. Next story. Am I the a-hole because I won't delay having a hysterectomy after the birth of my baby so I can be a surrogate for my sister? I, 28 female, am having my third and final child with my husband and have a scheduled C-section and hysterectomy planned. My period started when I was young, 9, and have been extremely painful, heavy, and very long ever since. I wasn't even sure if I could get pregnant with my issues, but I knew I wanted children, so I delayed having a hysterectomy when the option was first presented to me. It was worth it, but these extra years have been torture on my body. My sister, 31 female, is struggling with infertility. She's had fertility treatment, but nothing has worked for her yet. It has been suggested to her on more than one occasion that she consider a surrogate. She was very against it for a long time. In another situation, one where I didn't have all the health problems I do, I would have offered to be her surrogate because we're so close. But I need to be done. I don't know if I'll survive like this if I wait another couple of years or more so my sister can have kids. In December, my sister came right out and asked me not to have the hysterectomy yet and to be her surrogate so she could be a mother too. I told her I was so sorry, and if my body weren't giving me the hell it is, I'd do it for her, but I couldn't delay it any longer. She got upset but told me it was fine, and she understood. I could tell it bothered her, but I didn't want to fight about it. Then Christmas came and my brother-in-law got involved. Our whole family was together on Christmas Day, and when everyone was busy, he asked to speak to me. He berated me for my selfishness, saying that if I loved my sister as much as I said, I delayed the procedure like I did for my own selfish reasons. My husband and mom heard him, and they stepped in to defend me. My husband told my brother-in-law to back off, saying nobody should ever be pressured into carrying a pregnancy. My mom said that emotions might be high around this, but it wasn't my fault, and he shouldn't attack me like that. Brother-in-law told them I broke my sister's heart, and he was mad at me for it. My mom reiterated that it wasn't my fault. The rest of Christmas Day was trained. Afterward, my sister told me she was sorry about her husband's behavior, but they were just so upset and felt robbed of having a baby biologically related to both of them. I told her I was so sorry and was here if she needed me. Brother-in-law later reached out and said my sister might be sorry, but he still thinks I'm incredibly selfish. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She's not entitled to your womb. It's terrible for her and her husband to pressure you. Right? Once again, brother-in-law attempts incredibly manipulative argument he doesn't realize works both ways. If they loved OP, they wouldn't be so incredibly selfish to demand this of her. Not the a-hole. Screw your brother-in-law. He wants you to risk your life and prolong medical complications to have a high-risk pregnancy because he and your sister don't want to adopt. Most women have a hard time getting a hysterectomy because doctors tell them they need to wait for various misogynistic reasons. The fact that it was suggested to you previously means you must really need the procedure to protect your health and life. They can find another surrogate. That's what it all boils down to. I know so many who struggle to get a doctor willing. I had 2 doctors who said I'd need to have one young. They've tried everything to help me avoid this, and nothing has worked or helped. Even the advice some doctors give, get pregnant, it'll fix things, didn't help me. Just because you aren't able to carry a child for them doesn't mean they don't have other options. They could find another surrogate. I mean, if it's her egg and his sperm, the child would still be biologically theirs, even if the surrogate isn't related. It's not like her being the surrogate changes their DNA, unless she also wanted you to supply the egg. Their refusal to accept or consider other options is what's selfish. They're not even considering the risks you'd face with another pregnancy. Anything could happen. There could be complications. Ensuring your health isn't selfish. You need to be there for your kids. I hope you get relief from your hysterectomy. That's actually something I'm still unclear about. I guess they were going to try with her eggs, but then with mine if it didn't work with hers. But that threw me off too. Not the a-hole. I've also given birth 3 times. And let me say this, your brother-in-law can buzz all the way off. How does he feel entitled to nearly a year of someone's pain and discomfort? I wouldn't even do it again for my own family, let alone for anyone else. I can't ever do this again either. My pregnancy itself isn't the worst part, but my body just isn't doing well with everything. I know the fact that I did this 3 times and delayed the procedure angers him so much. I think in his mind, this should be their baby, and then I should have been done, instead of having another child for me and my husband. But even if I had decided to stop at 2 and offered a few months ago, my sister would have said no. She was still holding out for something else to work. And really, it still could happen for them. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my sister-in-law have my kids in her family photo shoot? My sister-in-law, female 31, and I, female 26, have never gotten along, and we've rarely spoken to each other from the beginning. I've known her for 6 years, and after some wedding drama a few years ago, we completely stopped speaking. I've tried asking her to hang out before, but she always refused, so I eventually gave up. My husband and I have a 1.5-year-old twins. When I was pregnant, she made comments about how we were too young to have them, saying that your 30s are the best age for children, and yada yada yada. Now that she's in her 30s, she's announced that she doesn't want kids because they're too much work, and she's already focused on her dog. Cool, whatever. At first, she wanted nothing to do with her nephews and rarely came to see them. But recently, she's been a lot more involved with them, which would be fine if I didn't feel like she was overstepping boundaries. She won't speak to me but will always talk to my husband when it comes to the kids. If I'm holding one of my sons, she'll either take the one my husband is holding or wait until I leave to talk to them. It's like she goes out of her way to avoid me. For example, she'll call my husband and ask to take the twins almost every weekend to go somewhere far away. We settled on it once a month, which made her mad, but she got over it relatively quickly. She also wants them over once a week for dinner with her husband and dog. We allowed this, but she posted on her Instagram story a picture of them all with a caption, "Family Dinner." She jokingly refers to them as her sons, and once, when she dropped them back at our house, they were wearing t-shirts she got them that said, "Ants are as important as moms." The last straw was when she asked my husband to let her take the twins for a family photo shoot with her dog and husband, so she could post it on her wall and social media. Initially, he refused, and she threw a fit, saying we were toxic and withholding her family from her. I finally put my foot down and told her I don't mind if she wants to see them, but I feel really disrespected. A, she refuses to speak to me or treat me with basic respect while wanting access to my children. B, she acts like she's their mom when she isn't. I told her that if she wants kids so badly, she should have her own. She flew off the handle, called me a psycho, and has refused to speak to us since. She even had my mother-in-law call my husband to ask if she could bring the twins to her house so my sister-in-law could see them. My husband said no. Am I the a-hole? I don't want to be a controlling mom, and I don't want my relationship with my sister-in-law to affect my children. They generally enjoy hanging out with her, but I can't help feeling disrespected. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Sounds like your sister-in-law needs some professional help. The fact your husband is on board with you is great. Just be careful, as this sounds like too many other stories where things go wrong. Sounds like your sister-in-law needs some professional help. I agree. I think she's been coping about her decision to remain childless and is using my kids as a stand-in. I've suspected it for a while, but the family photo shoot thing really revealed it for me. As someone who's childless by choice, there's no coping to be had. You're just content with the life you've made for yourself, period. Even if you find out later you're barren, there's a period of weird grief and then relief. It sounds like she was more likely childless by choice, because it was cool or in until her friends started having kids, making her feel left out, and a social dynamic shifted. Or she might have known she couldn't have them, and a focus on being child-free was a front to cover her true feelings. Posting pictures of anyone's kids without express consent is already really inappropriate. Doubly so if the captions paint an inaccurate reality. Regardless, she needs help. But more importantly, your kids don't need to be around her, especially not unsupervised. There's nothing but red flags in this post. Go no contact with her, you and the kids. If you can't respect one of the parents, then you can't see the kids. That's what I was thinking, honestly. I just didn't want to be the mom who lets her own drama affect the children. But I also don't want to show them that it's okay for someone to talk to them while disrespecting me. Thank you. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom my dad can't dance with me at my wedding when she told me she thought I'd ask my dad? My dad died when I, 29 female, was 10. My mom has been remarried since I was 14. Her husband is Mike. Mike's fine, but he is not my dad. He wanted to be when he married my mom, and she wanted that too, but I didn't. Because of that, there's an underlying tension surrounding my relationship with Mike. They both felt like I should have allowed him to take on a role of a dad to me, and they've always expressed disappointment that I was never open to that. Even though I get along just fine with Mike, it wasn't enough. He has no kids, so they felt like it was only right for a fatherless girl to let a childless man in, so we could both have that relationship. I bring all this up because I know how my mom feels. 2 weeks ago, Mike asked who I was walking down the aisle with. I said I'd be walking by myself. Then he asked who I'd choose for the father-daughter dance. I said I was considering whether I'd ask my mom or not. After this, my mom told me she thought I'd ask my dad to dance with me because that's tradition. I knew she was talking about Mike. She didn't mean my actual dad. But my reply was, my dad can't dance with me at my wedding, and I don't know how she thought that would work. My reply was not well received. My mom told me to stop being a brat and said I knew what she meant. I told her I was giving the most honest reply, because my dad died when I was 10, and there's no possible way for me to dance with him. She told me she understood what I was doing, and that it made me a brat. I told her not to worry. I'd ask her because this conversation helped me make up my mind. She told me I owed Mike an apology, and once I've finished apologizing to him, I owed her one as well. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. It's been 15 plus years. They should learn to take a hint. I've seen some women get a little locket photo holder to attach to their bouquet so that their parent can walk down the aisle with them in spirit if you want a way to honor your dad without being over the top about it. I put a locket with my dad's picture in my bouquet. I hope Opie does this. My cousin's kids had a small decorated area/table set up at the reception dedicated to relatives who had passed and couldn't be there that day. My mother was one of those honored, and I had no idea they were doing this. I was touched. I hadn't seen this done before. The idea of having a father-like relationship with your stepfather should be up to you and him alone. Your mother needs to stop trying to force the issue. Unfortunately, weddings have a way of bringing these issues to the forefront of people's minds. People need to be happy with the relationships they've built, not the ones they've made up in their heads. Now, mom won't be getting a dance either because she can't be rational. Seriously, when my sister found out I was eloping, she wanted to throw me a party with my half-sister and 2 cousins, women I'm not fond of and not at all close with. I scoffed and said, why the heck would I want to spend an evening with them? We barely contain our disdain for one another when I see them once every 3 to 5 years. She literally couldn't understand why I wouldn't want to throw a party with them because family. I was offended she even asked and told her so. My wedding or marriage isn't an opportunity for other people's egos or pretend family closeness nonsense.